And we are back on Sportsman Radio. I'm your host, Chris Shanafeld, and we are now joined by the host of the pre- and post-Chicago Bulls games on ESPN 1000 here in Chicago. It's a pleasure to welcome Mr. Steve Kashul to the show. Thanks for joining me tonight, Steve. How's it going?
Chris, how are you? I'm doing great, thank you.
And I'm doing great as well. And, I guess I want to start off by... I just want to get your thoughts. After 52 ball games, the Chicago Bulls are 30-22, losing their last two games before the AllStar break against the San Antonio Spurs and the Boston Celtics. Steve, what are your thoughts on the 30-22 Chicago Bulls?
Chris, I think it's a better record than most anticipated, especially having Derrick Rose out. To say we're 8 games over 500, I think is pretty strong. We wish we could have won those last couple against San Antonio and Boston the last week, but I think the guys are pretty tired. The starters been playing a lot of minutes. But you told me that we'd be 8 games over 500 at the All-Star break. Back at the beginning of the season, I would have taken it. That would be great, no problem. So I'm really happy with the progress, and I always feel like we have Derrick Rose in our back pocket. Not absolutely sure he's going to return this year, but we think so. But it's a nice thought that they're still within the top 5 seeds of the Eastern Conference, and maybe Derrick Rose coming back to help finish off. That would be great.
So you would say they have exceeded your expectations so far without the former MVP Derrick Rose?
Absolutely, yep. I think most people thought they'd be around 500 and maybe trying to get into that 8th seed or 7th seed. But to think that, I think it was a week ago, they were only 3 games out of first place before Miami was playing so well. And like a game and a half behind the Knicks for the number 2 seed, they were locked into the 3 seed for a while there. So that's great progress. That shows a really strong coach and players that are committed without their most valuable player.
Well, speaking of Derrick Rose, he tore his ACL in the first playoff game last year against the Sixers, and it looked like he was going to be coming back at some point this month. But recently, Rose has come out, and he said that he won't return until he feels 100%. Steve, do you think we'll see Derrick Rose back on the court this season?
I still don't know, Chris. I thought so a couple weeks ago because everything was pointing towards that. But then he came out with the USA Today article about a week ago, and then, of course, last Wednesday after the Boston game, he got the Chicago media for the first time since the beginning of the year, and that's when he said, I still can't dunk in stride, and he goes, if it takes until next season, I'm willing to wait, but I really want to play this season, so I still think he's gonna make a return. It might not be now till middle of March, end of March, 1st of April, but I'd be surprised if he doesn't return. He hasn't had any setbacks. But I think if the Bulls and the team doctors and the trainers and Derrick and his people in his camp all decide to shut it down and wait till next year, I'll live with that. I think whatever is best for Derrick is best for the Bulls, and what's best for the Bulls is best for Derrick. So, you hate to sacrifice the future just on him playing, a few games towards the end of the season, whatever playoffs that they'll have. Hopefully it'll be a series or 2 or 3. But, hey, this guy's our future, and lots riding on 10 years with the Bulls with Derrick Rose. So whatever he decides is best with me.
Yeah, I agree with you on that one. And last night we had the NBA All-Star Game played as the West defeated the East 143-138. Were you able to watch that game last night, Steve?
Yeah, I saw bits and pieces. I didn't see the entire thing, but it was entertaining, It was kind of a typical All-Star game where not a lot of defense is played until the last 5 minutes, and then guys get a little serious, although Joakim Noah was sure serious throughout the whole game. He played it like Tom Thibodeau was coaching a regular season game.
Yeah, we had 2 Chicago Bulls playing that game. Luol Deng, who played over 17 minutes, shot 4 for 10 and had 10 points. Joakim Noah, who played a little over 16 minutes, shot 4 for 7 and 8 points, 10 rebounds. What are your thoughts on that All-Star game and what we've seen from those 2 guys?
Well, again, Joakim, he was arguing with the ref. He was going full out. He's never played an All-Star game. I didn't think he knew what to anticipate. The guys really, again, they don't play defense. It's a showman's game. It's all about offense and how many points you can score. They try to share the ball a little bit, but if a guy has an open shot, he's going to take it. But I really like Joakim only knows how to play one way, and that's 100% full out, and that's really what it's doing. in the All-Star game. And Luol Deng, he's been there before, so he wasn't going as full out. He was taking it easy, like the other guys. But they were both productive. Worthy All-Stars, great representation of the Bulls, especially without Derrick Rose. And to think that if Derrick was healthy, maybe we would have 3 All-Stars like the Heat. That says a lot about the Chicago Bulls.
Yeah, and you mentioned Luol Deng has been here before. This was his second All-Star appearance. Do you believe he deserved to be in the All-Star game this season?
I do. Tom Thibodeau calls him the glue of the team, and he's NBA and it's played as far as individuals go. He has been cold a bit in the last couple of weeks. His three-point shooting and overall field goal per shooting, maybe he's lost his legs a little bit, but those numbers add up. He went through the hamstring injury, so I think he was slowed down a bit over the last few weeks, but he was a deserving All-Star for his efforts that he put together in November, December, and January. The Bulls had an amazing month of January, and I think coaches saw that, wow, look at how good the Bulls are without Rose, when they're in the top 3 seeds, as they were just a couple weeks ago, and a big reason was because of Luol Deng.
You guys are listening to Sportsman Radio. I'm your host, Chris Schanfeld, talking with the host of the Chicago Bulls pre- and post-game show, Steve Kashul from ESPN Chicago. Steve, Derrick Rose is out. We have, of course, 2 All-Stars in Deng and Noah. We also have Nate Robinson, Jimmy Butler. They're playing pretty well. Bellinelli at times. We've seen Boozer play well over the last month and a half. Who do you think is the Bulls' most consistent player so far this season?
Boy, that's a tough one. Probably Luol Deng. Again, he's been slowed the last couple of weeks. Carlos Boozer had an amazing month of January. He played just so well, and he's played well since then. Joakim has been pretty consistent when healthy. Nate Robinson has flashes of brilliance. Bellinelli as well. He had got to a slow start, but then really picked it up. So you have to look at our All-Stars, though, plus Boozer. Deng and Noah have played the most consistent basketball, along with Carlos Boozer. And when Kirk Hinrich is healthy, I think Kirk Hinrich is an unsung hero on this team. He's a huge addition for the Bulls after the last couple of years where they needed that veteran at guard, especially filling in this year for Derrick Rose. I think he's really one of those unsung players. So I love Kirk Hinrich's game.
There's been many rumors about the Bulls possibly trading Robinson and Boozer to Toronto for Andre Bargnani and former Bull John Lucas III. I'm not going to lie, I wouldn't be too much of a fan of that trade, but what would you think of that deal?
I was a little surprised at first. Bargnani is a guy that likes to shoot the perimeter jumper. He's a big 7-footer who's almost like Dirk Nowitzki, plays outside the lane, and he'd be shooting threes. I would really miss Carlos Boozer's presence down low. John Lucas compared to Nate Robinson. Lucas proved last year that he belongs in this league. I think Nate Robinson might be able to do a few more things than John Lucas. Lucas likes to shoot a lot, and he basically has an outside shot. He likes to run the team, though. But I'm happy the Bulls doesn't look like they're going to do that trade. But I know for economic reasons, it's possible the Bulls were looking at something like that to try to get rid of Carlos Boozer's contract. But I don't think the trade is going to be consummated now, and I'm happy that it's not.
Tomorrow night, the Chicago Bulls travel to New Orleans to take on the number 1 overall pick, Anthony Davis, and the New Orleans Hornets. What are a few things we should look out for in that game?
We'll see how Davis plays. I think he missed the first time. The first time we played this team back in, I think it was November. He got hurt the game before, and so he didn't make his appearance at the United Center. From the Chicago area. Fans were a little disappointed. But I haven't seen a lot of the New Orleans Hornets. I'll look at some tape tonight and maybe tomorrow morning and take a look at this team and some of the stats. But I think for the Bulls, it's all about locking down the defense and look at a 30-game sprint right here. I think Tom Thibodeau will have this team focused. It's been a nice 5-day break that they really needed for the All-Star break, even though Joakim Noah and Luol Deng played in that All-Star game yesterday. But I think the rest of the guys need a break. You're going to get Kirk Hinrich back, from what I understand, from the left elbow infection. So that's going to really help the Bulls. So I think it's just the Bulls locking down on defense, playing their game, getting their guys back, and hopefully having some fresh legs. And I think they can get out of there with a victory.
We said it earlier that the Bulls are right now 5th in the Eastern Conference. Steve, once the regular season is all done and over with, where do you see the Bulls being at in the Eastern Conference rankings?
Well, I still think if they can play well here in these last 30 games, they can finish as high as number 2. I don't think they'll overtake Miami. Miami has been so strong, especially in the last few weeks. I think the Bulls right now, as we speak, are the number 5 seed. But I could see them overtaking Indiana. I could see them overtaking the New York Knicks, and suddenly moving into that number 2 seed. I really do. They beat the Knicks. They held the tiebreakers over them. They need to beat Indiana again to kind of even out that series, season series. But I think they can finish as high as number 2. I really believe that if they can keep their legs under them and stay healthy, that's a big thing. Keep Kirk Heinrich in the lineup, and you never know what's going to happen on the NBA trade deadline, which happens on, I believe, Thursday. So I don't think the Bulls will make any major moves, but nothing will really surprise me.
All right, number 2, I could definitely live with that. And Steve, one last thing before I let you go, and that is, as we know, yesterday was the greatest basketball player of all time, 6-time NBA champion, Michael Jordan's 50th birthday. Can you tell us your favorite Michael Jordan moment?
Probably hitting that game-winning shot to close out Game 6 in the final NBA championship that they won back in 1998. I was on the floor at that time. I was doing radio with John Paxson and Neil Funk. I was seated right at midcourt at the scorer's table. It was an amazing series, an amazing game. I remember jumping over the scorer's table as soon as it ended after Michael hit that shot, and I thought that was just such a great moment in basketball history, Jordan history, Bulls history, of him capping his career in a Bulls uniform with the Bulls 6 championship and him hitting the game-winning shot. That's going to be my favorite memory.
I love it. Steve, thanks so much for your time tonight, man. Before I let you go, is there anything you'd like to plug on the air for myself and our listeners?
Oh, just listen to us on ESPN Radio 1000. You know, we do a 3-game show, half hour before every Bulls game, and then the halftime and post-game show, we take caller interviews and segments and listeners' calls. So it's a lot of fun, and I hope people can tune into ESPN Radio 1000 for each and every Bulls game.
Sounds great. Steve, thanks again, and take care, man.
Thanks, Chris, for your help. Appreciate it.